Why women at 40 face a hidden psychological crisis. Chapter 1. The Midnight Shift. You wake up in the middle of the night. She's beside you, breathing. But something's different. The spark is gone. Not the spark of love, exactly. A different kind of spark. A restlessness. A changed weight to her silence. Let me explain what's really happening. When a woman reaches her early 40s, she's not just getting older. Her brain quietly rewires, her priorities mutate. Who she was, full of youthful promises, built on validation, beauty, and external approval, starts slipping away. And she feels it, deep down. Here's the brutal truth. This isn't a midlife crisis in the cliches, fast cars, affairs, tattoos. It's far more subtle. It's a psychological reckoning, a transformation that shocks the very foundation of her identity. She's asking different questions now. Who am I when I'm not just beautiful? What if being seen for who I truly am is more meaningful than being desired? According to Erik Erikson's framework, middle adulthood is all about generativity versus stagnation. That means she's caught between two worlds, one where she builds something that outlasts her, and another where she fears becoming irrelevant. She's weighing legacy against emptiness. At the same time, another force is shifting her motivations, socio-emotional selectivity theory. As she senses that time is finite, she prunes superficial relationships. She stops chasing novelty. She starts craving emotional meaning, real, deep connection. That's why she might start withdrawing. It's not cruelty. It's not disinterest. She's becoming more selective. She's guarding her emotional energy, investing it in fewer people, but more deeply. You might feel betrayed or abandoned, but in reality, she's doing something far more dangerous. She's not running away from you. She's running toward herself. And if you don't see it now, you risk being left behind, not because she stopped loving you, but because she's becoming someone else. Chapter 2. The hidden crisis behind turning 40. You think midlife means wisdom. You picture her as more settled, more sure. But in reality, something deeper is shifting, something almost no one talks about. Psychologist Erik Erikson identified a key conflict that arises in middle adulthood between generativity and stagnation. Generativity means contributing, raising the next generation, mentoring, creating something that outlasts you. Stagnation, on the other hand, is a profound feeling of being stuck, unproductive, and disconnected from purpose. When a woman hits her early 40s, she often begins to wrestle with this. Am I making my mark? Will anything last after me? These aren't philosophical musings. They're a call to rebuild her internal world. In that process, her emotional priorities change. She may stop chasing validation, superficial praise, or external approval. Instead, she craves real meaning, deep connections, and legacy. That's not rebellion, it's self-reconstruction. But here's the painful tension. As she evolves, she can feel like a stranger even to herself. The woman who once worked to look good enough starts caring less about being seen and more about being remembered for something that matters. The identity she leaned on, her beauty, her desirability, her female capital, begins to fracture. That's why her behavior may shift. She's not just going through a phase. She's navigating a psychological crossroads, trying to reconcile what she's always been with who she's becoming. Her career, her friendships, even her marriage can feel like old scaffolding, structures that no longer align with her internal architecture. If you're unprepared for this, you might mistake her growth for abandonment. You might think she's drifting away, when in fact, she's being pulled towards something deeper, more authentic. This is the hidden crisis of turning 40, not a breakdown, but a breakthrough. And how you respond, with understanding, curiosity, or resistance, will define everything that comes next. If this insight hit you, if you're realizing that the shift at 40 isn't just getting older, but a real psychological turning point, please like this video, subscribe for more deep dives into the hidden currents of human behavior, ring that bell so you never miss a new upload. And I want to hear from you. Comment below, have you seen this kind of internal reawakening in someone you care about? How did you respond? Chapter 3. The heart of her midlife reckoning. You start to see the signs, small but precise. She's no longer just your partner, she's a woman in the middle of a psychological metamorphosis, and it's reshaping everything she feels, believes, and wants. Here's what the experts call it: Erik Erikson's generativity versus stagnation stage, the 7th of his 8 psychosocial life crises. Between about 40 and 65 years old, many people ask a brutally honest question: what will I leave behind? Am I doing something that really matters? Generativity means contributing, not just for herself, but for the next generation, for the world. She's not just thinking of now, she's thinking of legacy. But if she can't connect to that deeper sense of meaning, stagnation isn't just a word, it becomes a gnawing emptiness. She feels stuck, like she's been building without purpose. That frustration can become poison, eating away at her security and her joy. At the same time, another shift is happening. Her emotional priorities are rewiring. As time becomes more precious, she becomes selective. Socio-emotional selectivity theory suggests that as people age, they care less about superficial connections and more about what really matters: real, deep, honest bonds. Time perception changes, emotional currency shifts. She's not just chasing validation anymore, she's seeking truth. She wants relationships that mean something. Maybe she volunteers more, maybe she mentors, maybe she starts a project that actually feels like hers. She's not running away from her life, she's redirecting it. And here's the thing, that internal recalibration can feel like a betrayal to you. You, who loved her, not just for who she was, but for who she is, now feel like you don't know her anymore. But the real danger isn't her changing, it's not loving her enough to let her change. If you misread this crisis as infidelity, as a phase, or as rejection, you'll react too late. But if you see it as a rebirth, her chance to grow, to become, you might be able to hold on to something more powerful, more real than what you had before.
Chapter 4. The cracks begin to show. You start noticing subtle shifts, little things that feel off but hit you deeper than you expected. A conversation that used to sparkle now lags. Her laughter is quieter, tinged with something like urgency. She's not just changing her habits, her inner world is reorganizing. Here's what's really driving it. When you hit 40, you enter a profound psychological crossroad. According to Erik Erikson, a pioneer in human development theory, this is the stage of generativity versus stagnation. Generativity means she's compelled to contribute, to care, to mentor, to leave a legacy. Stagnation, on the other hand, is the fear she's running out of time without having done something that matters. But there's more. As she ages, another layer of her psychology rewires itself. Socio-emotional selectivity theory steps in. This theory argues that as people become more aware of their own limited time, they begin to prune away shallow connections and focus on what truly matters: deep, meaningful relationships over superficial ones. In her mind, the stakes shift. She's no longer interested in casual validation or empty praise. She wants purpose. She wants people she can trust to matter to in a way that transcends the mundane. So she starts acting out of character. Maybe she volunteers, or mentors, or begins a creative project she's always dreamed of. Maybe she re-examines her friendships, cutting out the noise and leaning into genuine bonds. But this recalibration feels threatening, especially if you're not prepared. You might misread her meaning-making for distance. You might believe she's abandoning you. But she's not. She's recentering herself around who she truly wants to become. And when she pulls back, it's not because she stopped caring. It's because she's being more selective with how she cares. That's the emotional crossfire you're caught in. Chapter 5. When midlife becomes a reckoning. You're beginning to feel it now. This is not just a midlife phase. It's a reckoning. Something deep in her psyche is shifting, and you're standing right in the path. Here's what the research and developmental psychology tell us. Around age 40, many people enter a profound psychological stage, Erikson's generativity versus stagnation. Generativity means she's driven to produce, to mentor, to leave a legacy. But if she doesn't find that meaningful contribution, stagnation creeps in. A hollow feeling of, what did I really do, that can poison her self-image. At the same time, another psychological shift is happening: socio-emotional selectivity theory. As people enter middle adulthood, they become more selective with their emotional energy. She's not just growing older, she's growing wiser, more intentional. She begins to trim away relationships that feel superficial and cultivate connections that feel relevant, emotionally rich, deeply meaningful. That's why she might start behaving in ways you don't expect. She volunteers or mentors or supports younger people, not just for show, but because she needs to feel generative. She rethinks her friendships, spending more time with a few close people rather than entertaining a wide social circle. She questions her role in her career, her family, her life, not in a vague way, but in a way that shakes her foundations. If you're not paying attention, you could misread all of this as rejection. But it's not rejection, it's realignment. She's not turning away from you, she's turning towards something deeper, more real. That transformation is terrifying for both of you, because the woman you married isn't the woman she's becoming. And if you cling to the old her, you may be holding on to a ghost. Here's the dark psychology truth. This isn't just about her midlife. It's about her confronting her mortality, her legacy, her relevance. It's a deep internal sea change, not a surface-level storm. And you can either drown in it or learn to swim. If this resonates, if you realize this is more than just getting older, and it's a real internal shift, please like this video. It helps bring this difficult truth into the light. Subscribe so you don't miss more of these deep dives into human behavior. Ring that bell and turn on notifications because you don't want to miss what comes next. And I want to hear from you. Comment below. Have you seen this psychological turning point in someone you love? What questions or fears do you have about it? Chapter 6. When her midlife becomes a psychological firestorm. You're feeling it now. The shift is bigger than just getting older. She's navigating a storm, and you're caught in the crosswinds. Here's what's really driving her internal upheaval. In middle adulthood, roughly between ages 40 and 65, people face Erik Erikson's 7th psychosocial crisis, generativity versus stagnation. Generativity is her deep urge to create, to mentor, to leave something behind, to make her life count for more than just the daily grind. Stagnation, on the other hand, is the quiet terror she feels when she fears she's not contributing, when her actions feel hollow and her legacy unclear. This isn't just a midlife burnout, it's a reckoning, a challenge to where she places her emotional energy, how she views her worth, and what she wants the next chapter of her life to stand for. At the same time, socio-emotional selectivity theory is rewiring her social motivations. As she senses her time is more precious, she becomes emotionally selective, pruning relationships, focusing on what truly matters. That's why she might do things that feel hard to understand. She might immerse herself in mentorship or community work, not just for show, but because she needs to matter. She might walk away from surface-level friendships, seeking relationships that feel deeper, more emotionally honest. She questions her role in her career, her family, her life, not out of dissatisfaction, but out of need for purpose. When she says, "I don't know who I am anymore," she's not blaming you. She's facing a mirror she's never looked into before, the mirror of her future self. Now, this shift can feel threatening. If you don't understand what she's going through, you might see distance as betrayal, reinvention as rejection. You might believe you're being pushed away. But that's not the whole story. Because she's not running from love, she's running toward meaning. And unless you step into that transformation with her, unless you meet her in that storm, you risk being left behind, not by chance, but by evolution. Chapter 7. The Turning Point. You're seeing the bigger picture now. This isn't just about her shifting mood or restlessness. This is a psychological turning point, a midlife redefinition rooted in something deeper than age. It's about purpose. Here's the truth. When a woman reaches her early 40s, she's entering Erik Erikson's critical 7th stage, generativity versus stagnation. Generativity means she wants to build, to guide, to contribute, to create a legacy. Stagnation, on the other hand, means she risks feeling stuck, self-absorbed, disconnected. At the same time, socio-emotional selectivity theory is rewiring her emotional map. As people sense time is more limited, they become far more selective about how they spend their emotional energy. The superficial loses value. The meaningful becomes everything. She's not chasing compliments anymore. She's seeking real connections. She's not just looking at her social circle. She's pruning it, nurturing what lasts, not what shines. That's why she might dive into mentorship, volunteer work, or creative projects, not out of midlife boredom, but from a deep need to contribute. She might reassess her relationships, keeping only those who matter, who feel emotionally honest and significant. She questions her legacy, her family's future, her impact on the world. This shift can feel threatening if you don't understand it. You might mistake her transformation for disinterest.
For emotional distancing. But that's not what's happening. She's not running away from you. She's running toward purpose. Here's your role in this. Recognize the shift. This is a major psychological moment, not just a phase. Talk to her. Ask the questions that matter. Who do you want to be? What do you want to leave behind? Engage with her vision. Don't rebuild the old relationship. Build a new one rooted in meaning and growth. Guard your own identity. This isn't just her crisis. It's a transformation that affects both of you. Act deliberately. Support her. Challenge her. Don't cling to what was, but help shape what could become. If you're feeling this tension, watching someone you love shift and wondering if she's slipping away, you're not alone. But here's what matters. How you respond defines the next phase. If this resonated, please like this video, subscribe, and ring that bell for notifications. Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you seen this transformation in someone you love? What scares you more, her change or being left behind? Thank you so much for subscribing, liking, hitting the notification bell, and commenting to our video. God bless us all.